Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theravada Buddhism series, Dhamma talk number 26. Consciousness by planes of existence. Central core of Buddhism is truth. There are two kinds of truth in Buddhism. One is conventional truth, and the other is ultimate truth. We have discussed in detail the truth or realities in the Dhamma talk, Theravada Buddhism series number 3. Practicing insight meditation, Satipatthana Vipassana, is to understand through experience the true nature of the ultimate truth. There are 4 kinds of ultimate truth. One is matter, in a strictest sense. You will see in Scripture as body, or rupa in Pali. And the other is consciousness, citta. The third is mental factors, cetasika. And the fourth is nibbana, supreme peace. The first 3 truths belong to the mundane world. In Pali it's called Lokiya, mundane world. And the 4th truth belongs to the ultra-mundane world, Lokuttara. That's why we are discussing now to understand theoretically the true nature of consciousness, citta, and mental factors, cetasika, and matter, body, in conjunction with the vipassana practice. Theory and practice, we are practicing all the time. But we need to intellectually understand what we are practicing for and how they are. We have completed discussing the 52 mental factors recently. Now we are going to see the consciousness, citta. These subject matters are boring to a wider, larger audience. But it is very interesting and beneficial for a smaller group who are putting their best effort in the practice seriously. Consciousness is the bare awareness of an object. Consciousness is the bare awareness of an object. In other words, it means it cannot arise. Consciousness cannot arise without an object. And in Pali, this bare awareness presented or used in two words. One word is citta. Citta means bare awareness. Another one is vijnana. That's also bare awareness. You will see the use of vijnana in the 5 aggregates. However, the word citta, C-I-T-T-A, not only represents the bare awareness of an object, it also represents the mind as well. What is mind? Mind is the inseparable twin phenomenon of consciousness, the bare awareness, and mental factors or mental states, citta and cetasika. That's mind. Different types of consciousness or mind are the product of different combinations of 52 mental factors and bare awareness. So it should be noted that the word consciousness, citta, is used to refer to the bare awareness of an object as well as bare awareness of the object with mental factors. So, based on the condition, you have to figure out whether the word citta, consciousness, is representing pure awareness or bare awareness with mental factors. So to have clarity, let's call bare awareness of an object vijnana. Instead of calling citta, let's call it vijnana, just to have clarity. And the bare awareness plus mental factors as citta, consciousness, or mind. Okay? So whichever words it pops up, you know exactly what it means and what it represents. In the scriptures, citta, consciousness, is classified in many ways. But for this talk, we will discuss the classification based on the 31 planes of existence. If you are not familiar with the 31 planes of existence, go back and listen to the Theravada Buddhism series Dhamma Talk number 12. This 31 planes of existence consists of 11 planes of sensuous sphere, 16 planes of form or fine material sphere, and 4 planes of formless or immaterial sphere. Altogether 31. The consciousness that arises mostly in the sensuous sphere is called the continuous consciousness of the sense sphere. In Pali, Kama Vasara Jeta. Kama is the senses. Vasara is most frequented, mainly, mostly, Jeta consciousness. Kama Vasara Jeta. Consciousness of the sense sphere. Jhana consciousness, another type of consciousness, mostly arises in the 15 planes of form or fine material sphere. There are 16 planes, but only arises in the 15 planes, because one of the 16 planes is for form only or mindless being, which has no consciousness. There exists one plane, purely material, without consciousness. So these are called fine material or form sphere consciousness. In Pali, Rupa Vachara Jeta. Vachara, V-A-C-A-R-A. Vachara Jeta. And then there's a higher jhana consciousness, or you can call it immaterial jhana consciousness. This arises in the 4 immaterial sphere. Arupa Vachara Jeta. Arupa, immaterial or formless. So there are 3: sensuous, fine material, and immaterial. 3 spheres. Each of these 3 types of consciousness is mostly frequented in their respected spheres. Mostly frequented, that's a key word. Most of the consciousness you will find in each sphere is their corresponding consciousness. However, these are not exclusive to each sphere. Seldom you can find them in the other spheres as well. But most are of the same. A few have exception. To give an example, we said jhanic conscious as are the main consciousness of the fine material sphere. That's already established. But let's see, there's a very hard-working yogi in human realm, which is a sensuous sphere. That yogi had attained jhanas, first or second or third or fourth or fifth, a jhana. And once that yogi attained that jhana, that jhanic consciousness arises there. So you can see the jhanic consciousness, which are mainly and mostly found in the fine material realm, occasionally, seldomly arise in the human realm as well. Just to give an example. There is also another type of consciousness. It is called supramundane consciousness or ultramundane consciousness. English translation, supramundane or ultramundane. And this consciousness transcends all three spheres. It transcends the sensuous sphere, fine material sphere, and immaterial sphere. In Pali, it is called Lokuttara Citta, supramundane consciousness. So there are citta consciousness, many different major types of consciousness with a lot of small subdivision. But regardless, first and foremost, consciousness are divided into two groups. What we have just talked about, Lokiya and Lokuttara, mundane consciousness and ultramundane consciousness, divided into two big groups. And there are 81 mundane consciousness, Lokiya Citta. In the mundane world, there are 81 types of consciousness. And in the ultra-mundane world, there are 8 in general and 40 in details. Consciousness. That's Lokuttara Citta. Therefore, there are 89 types of consciousness, or in detail, 121 types of consciousness. And each sets or each division is accompanied by different sets of mental factors. Mental factors changes from one division to the other. So in general, there are 54 different kinds of consciousness in the sensuous sphere, like Devaram, human realm, full woeful state. And there you will see 54 consciousness frequented mostly. And again, this 54 types of sensuous consciousness are subdivided into 12 unwholesome consciousness, 18 rootless consciousness, and 24 sense sphere beautiful consciousness. They divided into 3 subgroups. First is just sense sphere consciousness, 54 of them, divided into wholesome, no, I should say unwholesome, rootless, and beautiful. We'll talk about these in detail later. And also there are 15 fine material consciousness in the fine material sphere. It is subdivided into 3, consisting of 5 wholesome consciousness, 5 resultant consciousness, and 5 functional consciousness. In the third sphere, there are 12 immaterial consciousness in the immaterial sphere. This again is subdivided into 3. It consists of 5 wholesome consciousness, 4 wholesome consciousness, 4 resultant consciousness, and 4 functional consciousness. So altogether, sensuous sphere has 54, fine material have 15, immaterial has 12, altogether 81. These 81s are mundane consciousness, Lokiya Citta, the world we live in. But another group of consciousness, Lokuttara Citta. There are 8 super-mundane consciousness. 8 supramundane consciousness, all Lokuttara Citta. It's divided into 2 groups, Magga and Phala, path consciousness and fruition consciousness. 2 groups. There are 4 path consciousness and 4 fruition consciousness. 4 path consciousness represent the different levels of enlightenment. The first stream winner, once returner, non-returner, and the Arahat, full level of path consciousness. And along with it, there are 4 fruition consciousness. So each level of enlightenment has 1 type. And again, those people who are Ariya, Ariya, noble person, some are just simply, they got enlightened with that consciousness and that's it. But some people, some Ariya, they also practice jhana. So someone would find a path consciousness with one of the 5 jhanic consciousness, first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, fifth jhana. So that's how it becomes more details. But only if you practice jhana, they have it. But all Ariya, once you become an Ariya, Arahat, they automatically have the first jhana. All Ariya has first jhana level. Second, third, fourth, and fifth, one has to purposely practice so that you can have the part consciousness with, let's say, that jhanic consciousness. Part consciousness with fourth jhanic consciousness, and so on. So there are 4 planes or 4 levels of enlightenment, and there are 5 jhanas. 4 multiplied by 5, 20. That's how it becomes more detailed. But you don't have to have jhanic consciousness to attain enlightenment. That's why they are presented separately as 121 and 89. So 4-part consciousness become 20, and then 4 fruition consciousness become 20, altogether 40. So if you add the mundane consciousness, 81, with 8 part and fruition consciousness, become 89. That is common. Every enlightened person has it. But for those who practice jhana, it expanded up to 81 plus 40, 121. Mind you, you don't have to have these higher jhanic consciousness to attain enlightenment. Therefore, it is said there are 89 types of consciousness. For jhanic practitioner, 121 types of consciousness. Jhanic practitioner who attain enlightenment. But most of us here are or will be dealing with the 54 types of consciousness of the senses sphere. We'll be dealing mostly with the 54. Not all 89 or not 121. So it is, for us at this stage, it is more important to be really skillful and understand there's 54 types of sensuous sphere consciousness. May all of you be able to practice Satipatthana Vipassana, mindfulness and sight meditation, and may you be able to attain liberation as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.